Does technology change brands, and should it?
I think it can change brands, but I think more importantly, it changes the business that brands are in. So a great example is the business model for retailers and airlines and how that's shifted from bricks and mortar to online. So in some areas of brands, Nike Plus, these things have changed how consumers engage with the brands, but it's changing business more than it's really changing the essence of a brand.
Technology changes everything all the time. I mean, there are certain things that make us human, but if you look at how technology not just affects brands, but it affects our business in a sort of profound way that sometimes we try to ignore. So when people say, oh, it's still about storytelling, or it's still about the big idea, or so, these sort of statements are fatuous. They don't mean anything, because the closer you get to execution, the more the technology affects what you do. I mean, a great example would be that the remote control really affected the editing craft, right? Because we went from a much more languid TV experience to something that tries to keep up and keep your attention.
So I don't think technology needs to change brands, and I don't think it can change brands. And I think that there's a lot of confusion around what is technically changing on the internet, as well as what's societally changing on the internet. The technology of the internet isn't necessarily changing brands, but the fact that people can talk back now to brands, and brands have to listen and iterate, very much has to change brands. It's no longer a matter of saying the same thing for 10 years without listening. We need to respond and talk back. Technology has made that possible, but it's not the technology that's pushing brands to change, it's the two-way conversation.
Certainly, technology does not change brands. Brands tend to be rooted in very fundamental human characteristics or human passions. Technology will allow them to deliver in a better way, to be closer to their promise. But you're not going to see necessarily a transformation of the brand simply because of technology.
An empowered consumer can really interact with their brands in a way they never have before. Brands used to be almost broadcasters with one-way communication, and now they know they can interact with consumers, empower consumers in ways they never have before. So that's the biggest change that technology can have on brands when they can really complete the circle.